Alright guys, I'm back. I'm Matt. This is Brant, and we're here to preview the 2014 FIFA World Cup. Biggest tournament in the world, most watched event worldwide. Getting pretty pumped for it. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to preview each group and tell you basically how we think this tournament is going to work out.
So before we get started, why don't we go over a little bit how the tournament's structured. So there are, 8 groups?
8 groups,
Eight groups of 4, 32 teams. Teams from all continents except for Antarctica.
Because there's no countries in Antarctica.
Yeah. And, there are, but it's not soccer played there, right?
You can't really play.
There's teams from all the continents that go through qualifying, and 32, depending on how strong the soccer played there is, a bunch make it from each one. And they get put into a draw, and they draw and create a bunch of groups from the continents, and that's how it's done. And then so you go through the group stage, and there's 4 teams in each group. 2 of the teams advance onto the knockout rounds, and the first place team in Group A plays the second place team in Group B. Second place team in Group A plays first place team in Group B, and so forth and so on. And then it's just kind of like a regular bracket. You go to the quarterfinal from there, semi-final, and the final. And should be a good time here.
Alright, so we'll start off with Group A, obviously. It's a good place to start. Group A, you got Brazil, Croatia, Mexico, and Cameroon. Basically, we're going to rule out Cameroon here. They don't have a fighting chance. They're done.
They don't have the depth of the other teams, I don't think, in the group. They don't have much of a goal-scoring threat. I don't think their defense is going to be able to keep the other teams out. No real players to watch, I don't think. I mean, they've got a couple young guys. I think Joel Matip in defense, but they're a little old, I think. And we'll rule them out. Mexico has been in some bad form as of recently. They barely made it in the World Cup, which kind of would have been a shock. But they're here, and they picked it up the last couple months.
Yeah, the new manager has made a lot of changes and really improved the team.
The big question, I think, is Javier Hernandez, otherwise known as Chicharito, going to show up for the World Cup this year, and is he going to perform? Because I know he didn't do a whole lot in qualifying this year. In the past, he's been pretty good for Mexico. But in the last few games, I don't think he was playing much. Even made the squad, and they had some success that way. So I don't know how that's going to be played.
And even if he does show up and plays really well, it might not be enough because of the strength of the other teams in their group.
Yeah, Croatia and Brazil, especially Brazil, are both really strong teams. Croatia's got a rock-solid defense, I think, and they've got some attacking prowess in the form of guys like Mario Mandzukic and Ivan Rakitic at Sevilla.
And Luka Modric running it in the middle.
Right, he's a good player too, playing for Real Madrid.
And then obviously there's Brazil on their home turf. Neymar, up-and-coming talent.
Oscar from Chelsea. Yeah. Got they did lose a big name in Diego Costa, who converted to Spain to play for their national team. So that could be a bit of a blow. But they played pretty well without him, and they've got some solid defenders. They're a pretty good team all over the field, and they're going to be tough to beat on their home turf. I think they're maybe a little bit overrated, but they're going to be fired up, and they're going to be ready to go, and I'm sure they're going to be tough to beat, especially in this group. So we think that Brazil and Croatia are going to come out of the group, narrowly leaving Mexico behind, and Cameroon's going to struggle to pick up points.
So we'll say Brazil wins the group, Croatia comes in second. Moving on to Group B, you got Spain, the Netherlands, or Holland, Chile, and Australia. It's kind of another case of a 3-horse race here. Australia they're not going to advance. It's just not happening.
Be a good story, but
love you, but you can't win.
Some of their good players are a little bit older, guys like Cahill and Mark Schwarzer doesn't play for the team anymore, but he's an older guy too. He used to
Also,
He used to be there.
They have that young guy that's supposed to be their next up-and-coming talent.
I'm sure he'll play, but he's like 20 and
But he's actually injured for this tournament.
Oh, really?
So, like, one of their star guys they're expecting to have.
I know they've got another guy or two in the Bundesliga, I think.
I can't remember his name, but he's supposed to be their next talent, and he's just out for the World Cup. So that's their pretty much hopes going
Yeah.
there.
They're going to struggle.
Looking at who we think's going to win, though, it's Spain, Netherlands, and Chile. Spain obviously won the last two major tournaments.
Three.
Was it three?
Three.
It was three. Yeah. Netherlands was the runner-up in the 2010
Yeah, they
World Cup.
lost to Spain last World Cup. That could be an interesting matchup. Chile, we think, is a really strong team. However, they don't have the kind of depth, I don't think, that the Netherlands and Spain have,
Very true.
especially in defense. They've got some good talented players. They've got the likes of Arturo Vidal, who's one of the best defensive midfielders in the world.
They have Alexis Sanchez.
Alexis Sanchez
Yeah,
plays for
very
Barcelona. He's going to be a good player on the wing. But beyond that, I don't know if they have enough world-class talent to match the Netherlands and Spain. Even though they're in South America, they're going to maybe have a little bit of a home advantage there. So a little more of a traveling contingent of fans. We just don't see them pulling it out. I think the matchup between Spain and the Netherlands, that decides the group, obviously. But I actually think the Netherlands are going to come out on top there. Some people are probably going to disagree with me on that, but I think that the Spain squad, yes, they have some good young guys transitioning into the first team, but I don't see them pulling it out over a really strong Netherlands team who could be missing guys like Kevin Strootman. Strootman's a really good player, and he kind of anchors that team. But if he's back in time for the World Cup, I really do think the Netherlands are going to advance there. As long as their young defense can pull together, I think their veterans like Robin van Persie and Arjen Robben can put enough goals in the back of the net.
Yeah, definitely. Wesley Sneijder even.
Wesley Sneijder, Klaas-Jan Huntelaar, Rafael van der Vaart, those guys are all, I think, really solid players. And I think Spain's defense is in a bit of trouble there. Even though they've got a couple of young fullbacks in like Azpilicueta and Jordi Alba and Danny Carvajal, who are pretty good players, but I don't know if they'll be able to handle the attacking prowess of the Netherlands.
So basically, our recap of that group is going to be Netherlands takes that group in first, and Spain will be runner-up.
For Group C, we've got Colombia, Greece, Ivory Coast, and Japan. Now, I actually think Ivory Coast is going to come last in this group because their best player, Didier Drogba, is now like 35, I think, and he's getting up there, and I don't know if he's got the same kind of talent and ability that he used to. Still a great player, still a legend, but I just don't see them having enough around him in the form of guys like Gervinho could be a pretty good player. He's had a good season in Serie A this year. They've got Yaya Toure, obviously, who's a world-class player, but are he and Drogba going to be enough to carry their lackluster defense? I don't really think so.
I just don't think that three or four players can carry an entire team. If any of you watched the African Cup of Nations, it was god awful. It was terrible to watch. It's just as a team, the Ivory Coast does not play well together. And I just don't think they have what it takes to handle Colombia and even Greece or Japan.
Yeah, they've also had troubles in the past at major events, like the World Cup last time around. I think they finished last in their group.
Yeah, it wasn't a good showing.
And moving on to Japan and Greece, which we think Colombia is gonna take the group without issue, even without Radamel Falcao, which he could be back, he could not be back.
Yeah, he might make it.
And he's a world-class player for sure. I think he's one of the very best strikers out there. Love to see him in the Premier League, but besides, they've got a good team besides him. They've got guys like Jackson Martinez. They've got James Rodriguez. They've got young gun and Juan Fernando Quintero. They've got maybe some issues in defense, but I think they've got, I forget his name, Perea, I think. He's a pretty good player. But even with maybe some issues in defense, they're going to have a great traveling support there in South America and Brazil.
Yeah, a theme you're going to see here is that all the South American teams are going to have that extra little edge playing in South America.
Yeah, they're going to be very well represented in the crowds. So yeah, we think they're going to have the group, no problem, with or without Falcao. Whether that affects them later in the tournament, we'll see. Greece and Japan. Japan's got some very good players. They've got guys like Shinji Kagawa, who's had a rough time at Man United, but
Towards the end of the season, he's been getting a little more playing time and getting a little better as he goes on. So we'll see what he can do.
and they've got other guys. They've got Shinji Okazaki, I think, in the Bundesliga, who can play all over the front. He can score goals. He can create plays. They've got Keizuki Honda,
Yep.
who can also he's also a nice creative influence. And they've got some good guys, especially on the wings and in the fullback position. I think another case of maybe not as strong of a defense as their offense. However, they're a good team, and we'll see. I think they'll put in a good showing at the World Cup. I think Greece, I think will take them down. I think their defense is going to be able to contain the attacking talents that Japan has. I don't know how many goals Greece is going to score, obviously.
That's going to be Greece's weakness is scoring goals, with probably Georgios Samaras being their best attacking option.
They
In
have-
the Scottish League.
They have,
Might not
what's
be
his
able to
name,
produce.
at Fulham, Mitroglou,
Yeah.
who's had a really rough time of it since making a big money move there from...
The one thing, however, that
Serie
might
A,
help
but-
Greece is that they do have a really strong defense, and their weaker offense is going up against a bunch of other weakened defenses. You don't see, in all of Group C, you don't see one defense that's really
Overpowering.
outstanding. So,
Yeah, and I just... Well, aside from Greece.
yeah.
I don't think Greece is going to be conceding many goals. And I think they'll be able to squeak enough into the net that they can manage to finish second in the Group C there.
A matchup that will probably decide who advances here is going to be Greece-Japan. Colombia, I think, will breeze through this group, and then Greece and Japan will pretty much decide who gets second.
For Group D, we've got another. This is a tough group here. Another one. You got Uruguay, Costa Rica, England, and Italy. Another case of a team that I think is really going to struggle in Costa Rica. They've only really got a couple players who are not bad players, but they're just not up to the levels of the other teams in the group. Guys like Brian Ruiz, who was in the Premier League with Fulham, he had a bit of a struggling time there, but he's done well in the Eredivisie with, I believe, Ajax or
It's
maybe
PSV, I think.
PSV,
Yeah.
and I think he's done well there, and he's a good creative option. They've got a young left back who could also be playing on the wings, and Brian Oviedo at Everton, who I think he's a pretty solid player, and he could be a bit of a force. He could have a bit of a coming out party at the World Cup. However, those two guys, coupled with maybe Joel Campbell, who's at Olympiacos on loan from Arsenal, I think he's a good up and comer. Beyond that, though, I don't think that's going to be enough to take down the likes of Uruguay, England, and Italy. This is a tough one for first and second here. It's probably going to be, I think, the most hotly contested group.
For sure. You've
Be-
got England with some very exciting young talent like Adam Lallana, Daniel Sturridge, Raheem Sterling, but then you notice that none of these guys have ever played in a World Cup, and they don't have the experience of the likes of Uruguay and Italy. Italy have some old guys like Pirlo, Chiellini with experience at World Cups. Uruguay obviously has one of the better players in the world, Luis Suarez. You can make an argument that he's one of the top 3 players in the world right now, alongside Edinson Cavani up top. So they're obviously going to score a lot of goals. Also a South American team on their home continent. I think they make it out easy.
Uruguay won the last cup in Brazil. So I think Uruguay will manage to take this group. It's going to be really close. I think Italy's experience will take them over England with guys like Mario Balotelli trying to put in the goals. And we'll see, though. I mean, England has a lot of attacking talent. It's just a question of whether I think their defense holds up and whether their young guys can quickly just get experience in the World Cup and come up and shine. But I think Italy advances there. For Group E, we have Switzerland, Ecuador, France, and Honduras. I think this one's pretty much a non-contest in terms of who advances. It's just the seeding in which they advance. I think Ecuador and Honduras are going to have a rough time of it in here, especially Honduras. I don't think they have much.
Honduras, I don't see getting a single point out of this group.
I don't think they have enough talent really to contend with the other groups here. I don't see what they have. I think they might have a couple guys in major European leagues, but I don't
know.
I don't really know what they have. A bit of an unknown, and then Ecuador, they have a couple good players, I think, and another South American team
Yeah.
gonna have that boost
It's
there.
basically going to be their only hope hope is, hoping that their fans carry them over the European teams that generally don't do as well in South American World Cups. But Antonio Valencia carrying your team is not really what you want to look forward to.
Yeah. So moving on to Switzerland and France then. I think it's going to be really tough here. I think France can do this, but that's a big if. If guys like Franck Ribéry and Karim Benzema and all those guys can show up at the World Cup. I mean, they've got loads of talent. They're probably one of the 4 or 5 most talented teams in this tournament. Well, maybe not that great, but they're extremely talented. They've got a lot of young talent, got a good amount of veterans, but
when you line them up directly with Switzerland, you see that they've got a full starting 11 of stars, and then you look at Switzerland, and of their noticeable names, you've got Xherdan Shaqiri
at Bayern, yeah,
Granit Xhaka.
Maybe
that's about where you stop.
I mean, they've got. I don't know exactly what they have. I know they've got some talented guys playing in the Bundesliga. I don't think they have the world-class talent that France has, but they play as a much more cohesive unit, and their defense is pretty strong. I know of. They didn't concede a lot in the qualifying stages, I should say. I believe they went undefeated in qualifying. They had a bit of a weaker group, but I mean, they played great as a team. They've had a lot of good experience together. Guys playing at FC Basel, they always dominate that league, and a lot of guys come from there.
Speaking of the team as a unit, though, remember France in 2010 sent a bunch of their players home. They had a really early exit, terrible group stage, and it was just honestly the biggest disaster for France as a national team that could have possibly happened. So we'll see if, as a team, they can come together and overcome that and redeem themselves from.
I think they're going to be able to recover this year. Obviously, I think they're going to advance. I don't know if they'll be able to take down Switzerland here. I guess Switzerland take down France, but I see Franck Ribéry and France moving on and winning that group. It could be up for debate for sure, but they've got the young guys like Paul Pogba. They've got Antoine Griezmann, who's had an outstanding season in La Liga. They've got Raphael Varane, who is arguably the best young center back in the world. It's going to be really interesting, that group, but I think France advances as the top team in that group. You may say differently. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. Group F is Argentina, Bosnia, Iran, and Nigeria.
No contest here for me. It's Argentina followed by Bosnia. Iran, you just can't see them even getting a point except for maybe a draw with Nigeria in this one.
I think Iran's a bit of a sneaky team, but I just don't see them with the firepower to take points off of the Bosnias and Argentinas. I know they had a good qualifying round. They've played well in some friendlies, but they don't have the guys playing in the big European leagues on the big teams that you're going to need to contend in these kinds of events. Nigeria is they won the African Cup of Nations, I believe, right? And they've got some good players. They've got guys like Victor Moses, who's had a really rough season on loan at Liverpool this year. He'll probably get a move away this summer after the World Cup, and that's going to be motivation for him to prove what he can still do after a rough season. He's going to want to have a good showing, get a big money move away to maybe a mid-table Premier League club or somewhere else in Europe. They've got Kenneth Meiro, who's a youth guy for Chelsea. He's going to be leading their center back. He's going to be leading their defensive line, and I think he's had a really good time of things in the national team, and he played well at the Confederations Cup, I believe. John Obi Mikel is going to be a big player for them. A lot of Chelsea influence in this team, I guess. We'll see how much is left there after the summer, but Emmanuel Emenike he's a good, powerful striker for them. He plays in the Russian league. So we'll see what Nigeria can do, but I don't think they'll be able to contend with Bosnia. Bosnia's got some great players. They got guys like Adin Dzeko, who, to his credit, maybe a bit inconsistent, but he always shows up at the end of the games. He's always scoring big goals. Yeah. And Miralem Pjanic over at Roma, he's a great player, scores some deadly free kicks, got some great creative influence. Vedad Ibisevic in the Bundesliga scores some nice goals.
You've got Asmir Begovic in goal for them, one of the best keepers in the Premier League. Honestly deserves a big move to a big club. I think he'll perform well, and it's worth noting with Bosnia that this is their first World Cup appearance, and they're going to want to show what they've got. Argentina, on their home country, or not on their home country, on their home continent, they're going to be favorites for this group. They're third ranked in the world right now. They've got the likes of Aguero, Messi, Di Maria, Zabaleta at the back. You know, you just expect them to come out of this on top.
We've got too much talent attacking wise, and there's just no way I don't win this group. I don't think, unless they just completely don't come to play, which I don't see happening. They've got too many great players, and I think they're going to win that group without a problem. Bosnia may be able to stumbling a bit with countries like Nigeria, but I think they'll be able to get out. I think they've got too much talent, too good of a team, and I think we'll see them in the round of 16. Let's go to Group G, home country here, USA. We got Germany, Portugal, and Ghana, that nemesis of the USA there. So this is an interesting group. It could go a lot of ways. Many people may say Germany, Portugal just takes as no contest, and I kind of agree with that maybe. But and I think Germany wins this without an issue. I think Portugal's maybe a little high on their ranking there. Yes, they have arguably the best player in the world in Cristiano Ronaldo. But beyond that, I don't think they don't have all that much. I mean, they've got some good players there for sure, and Pepe and Joao Moutinho. He's a pretty good player. But we'll see what the underdogs in Ghana and USA can do. I don't think you can count either of them out. But I think Portugal will come in second in that group, but I really would like to see USA come out of that group, obviously, and I think they're capable. They just have to pretty much play a perfect game in all 3 games, and it should be interesting. I think Ghana's got a good team. They've got some good players. They've got Christian Atsu. They've got some other speedy young wingers. The USA with the likes of Michael Bradley and Clint Dempsey. They've got some good players. No, they don't have a lot over in Europe, but got a good goalie in Tim Howard. That can always help you out.
Probably the form of his career right now. So that could honestly really help them a lot going up against Germany, maybe trying to get a draw there.
But I don't see anything aside from Germany winning this group and Portugal coming second. I'd love to see something else happen, but I just don't see it. Then Group H, you got Belgium, Algeria, Russia, and South Korea. I think Belgium is probably, for me, the most exciting team in the tournament. Tons of mercurial talent there.
So you got Hazard, you got De Bruyne, you got Morales, you've got Benteke. Not Benteke, he's hurt now. You've got Lukaku up front. He's going to be leading the line.
You've got so much exciting attacking talent, not to mention guys like Axel Witsel in midfield, Fellaini if he can recover from his tough season at Man United. A lot of tough seasons at Man United this year.
And with Belgium, what makes them even more exciting is that they do not stop at the front. They've got such a strong defense with the likes of, you got Kompany in the back, captain of Man City, one of the best center backs in the league, in the Premier League that is. You've got Alderweireld, who's kind of had a struggle at Atletico Madrid getting into the team, but he's still a very solid player.
Jan Vertonghen.
You got Vertonghen, you've got Vermaelen.
You got Daniel Van Boyten at Bayern Munich, who's a bit lacking for pace there, but he's an experienced player. Good center back. They've got some good fullbacks there as well. Maybe throw Vertonghen out there. And then you got a good little keeper battle in goal with Courtois and Mignolet. I think Courtois will get that start. Very possibly the best young goalie in the world, and very possibly one of the 5-10 best goalies in the world. So they're an extremely strong team. They don't have much of a weakness aside from the fact that they kind of lack in experience. So we'll see how they handle that, but I just don't. I think they're in the perfect group to gain experience and not struggle too much with Algeria, Russia, and South Korea. I don't see them having much of a problem with any of those teams. Russia is a pretty solid team, I think. Good European team. Kind of gets the job done whenever they can, I think. Experience with guys like Alexander Kurzhikov. They have Alan Zagoev. They've got some good guys in clubs like Zenit and places like that I think they'll be able to manage a second-place finish in this group. Nothing too overwhelming. I think South Korea's got some good talent there. I don't see Algeria, despite their ranking, doing all that much in this group.
Yeah, Algeria is probably the most overrated team I think I can see in terms of ranking. It's just they play in the African on the African continent, and there's just not a lot of competition there for them. And sweeping aside those lesser teams boosts their ranking, but honestly, they're not going to do anything in this group. I predict them to finish last.
South Korea, I think they've got some good talents. Guys like Heung-min Son at Bayer Leverkusen, he's had a great year there. I think he's only going to get better. Maybe earn himself a move to an even bigger club. And they could push Russia a little bit, maybe give them a run for their money, but I still see Russia coming second in that group. All right, so on to the round of 16. Got a lot of teams here that have made worthy contributions to this World Cup, and I think it's going to be a good show. It gets even better from here, though.
So basically, going off our predictions, we had Brazil playing Spain up in that first matchup in 1A versus 2B, and the storyline here, there's a couple. This would be a rematch of the Confederations Cup final in which Brazil beat Spain 3-0, absolutely destroyed them. But also, you've got Diego Costa for Spain, who is Brazilian-born, coming back on his home soil to play Brazil.
I think he's going to maybe have a bit of a tough time of it. Maybe he doesn't even play in that game if they get there. I don't know who else they play at striker, but I don't know. Maybe you want to save him of the, hate, I guess, he's going to get from the Brazilian fans. But maybe you just let him try and face the adversity and see if he can pound in a goal or two against Brazil there. That's going to be an intriguing matchup, obviously. Whoever loses that's a huge team to go down. Brazil being one of the favorites, seeing as it's on their home country, and Spain obviously being the defending champions. So, who do you think comes out of this matchup?
Oh, that's actually really tough one to call. This could come down to just a moment of brilliance. There's so many stars across these two teams, and I could honestly see a 1-0 coming out of this matchup. And honestly, Spain is the master of those 1-0 wins against teams that will try to defend for their lives against their possession-based football. So I'd have Spain.
You've got Spain. I personally, this is a tough one for me. I don't know. There's so much talent on both sides of the ball. But I think Spain's got a bit of a weakness at one of their center back spots. I think Sergio Ramos, I think he's a good player, obviously, and I think he'll be able to hold down one half of that. But Gerard Piqué's hurt, and when he's playing for Barcelona, he's had a bit of a tough time the last year or two. And Puyol's a bit old. I don't know if he's even going to go to the World Cup.
This will be his last if he does go.
And beyond that, I mean, I'm sure they've got a couple youngsters in there somewhere, but they don't have the kind of experience. And I think Brazil, I don't see them with much of a weakness. You could argue maybe Julio Cesar because he's playing in MLS.
Probably their biggest weakness.
But, I mean, Julio Cesar is still a really good keeper, and that's not much of a weakness. And with guys like Thiago Silva in defense, Dante, they've got some solid fullbacks. They've got people like Fernandinho in midfield. They've got guys like Oscar and Neymar in the attacking midfield. I think they're going to be able to score goals. I think they'll be able to keep goals out of the net. And I think maybe they get that goal that they need to past Spain's maybe a bit of a lacking defense. With guys like Casillas struggling as well at Real Madrid this year, who's going to play in goal.
But obviously, you've got that home advantage again.
And again, a huge home advantage for Brazil. Being in Brazil with all their fans there, European teams tend to struggle. Spain's getting maybe a little bit older, a little bit long in the tooth. I think Brazil is going to be able to pull this one out. It's going to be tough, but we'll see.
All right, moving on. We have 1C versus 2D, or winner of C against runner-up of D. It's Colombia versus Uruguay, according to our predictions. And South American battle here. Obviously, it's going to be a heated atmosphere with two South American teams playing in Brazil.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Basically, it's going to be firepower versus firepower. Neither team really known for their defense. If Falcao is healthy, it's Falcao, Jackson Martinez,
Suarez, Cavani.
Yeah, so honestly, Suarez is the best striker in the world right now. And he's got Cavani playing next to him. I think this game could come down to like a 5-4, 4-3 scoreline with
very well could, I think.
Uruguay pulling this.
I think Colombia's defense is maybe minutely stronger, maybe. But
I don't think that makes much of a difference, really, when you look at.
Yeah, and then when you think about it, you've got the strong attacking prowess of both teams, and the fact that Colombia could be missing Falcao. Sure, they've got guys like Jackson Martinez, maybe Luis Muriel. I know they've got a couple of other young guys, I'm sure, that could step in. But I think Uruguay pulls this one out. Maybe Colombia's a bit deeper all around the pitch, but I think the star power there with Suarez and Cavani, I think they'll get that done. And Uruguay actually might have the best center back in this matchup too, with Diego Godin playing at Atletico Madrid. So I think they'll be able to pull that one out. I'll take Uruguay in that one.
All right, moving on down, you got the winner of Group E against the runner-up of Group F, which we have is France against Bosnia. And here, I think it might come down to experience, because this getting deeper into the tournament, Bosnia they're gonna be done running on adrenaline of their first ever World Cup. You got the experience of Ribery, who's been to maybe
2 World Cups, I think, maybe
this
3.
might be his third or fourth even. You've got Ribery, you've got Benzema. They've been there before. They know what they're doing. Bosnia, they don't. And looking at talent, France still has more talent. So I'd have to take France here.
I'll have to agree with you. If France can get past the group stage, where I think that's going to be the biggest struggle for them is getting past that initial amount of lack of World Cup experience per se, maybe with some of their young guys like the Pogbas and the Griezmanns and guys like that. But I think they've just got stars all over the field. You've got Johan Cabaye. You've got, oh my gosh, who else do they have? I'm drawing a blank here, but they've got tons of talent. They've got Matthew Valbuenas per se. And I just think they're going to be too much to handle for Bosnia. Bosnia maybe gets a goal or two in that matchup, but I think France will be able to overpower them. And I think they'll advance. We'll see them in the quarterfinal. So moving on, I guess, we have Germany and Russia, correct? I don't think this one's much of a contest. I think Germany will handle that without much issue. Russia's a solid team, but they just don't have nearly kind of firepower with Germany. You got most of the Bayern Munich squad, which Bayern Munich is I think they're the best team in the world, I think, right now. I think you can safely say that. Standout studs in defense like Philipp Lahm, Mats Hummels, and I'd say Germany's weak spot, you could probably say, is their left back, Marcel Schmelzer, if he starts there. He's Borussia Dortmund's left back. He's a solid player. I don't think he's world class or anything, but beyond that, their attack is so fantastic. And the Schweinsteiger, Kroos, you got so many options in the middle of the park. You got Gundogan if he's back for the World Cup, which I don't know if he will be. You got so much there. Goetz, Royce, and attack. You've got Klose, Gomez, who they've gotten up there, but they're still good strikers. Going to be able to put the ball in the net. Going to be able to keep the ball out of the net. Going to be able to run the ball over the field, pass the ball over the field. And I don't think Russia's going to be able to keep up with them, and I think Germany has an easy pass in the quarterfinal there.
All right, moving to the other side of the bracket, you got Croatia, runner-up with A, against the winner of B, Netherlands. And I'm going to go ahead and start it off with saying Netherlands is going to win this matchup. They are a very strong unit. They've got the better players. Croatia I don't really know that much about, but I do know that Netherlands, they've done this before. They know what they're doing. They've got the great players mixed with great experience. I just think they pull this one out.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think Croatia is going to be more deadly as long as they make it out of their group. Remember, Mario Mandzukic suspended for, I believe, 3 games.
His first 3 games, yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be tough for their group going back there to Group A. Maybe Mexico comes out and plays in this matchup. But regardless, I think the Netherlands can handle either Croatia or Mexico. Croatia's got a good team there. They've got guys like Rakitic and Modric, obviously. But I just don't think they're deep enough in every position to handle the Netherlands, who've got good young guys and good mix of good young talent and veterans all over the field. And I think they'll be able to handle that and make it into the last 8. So moving on to the next matchup, we have Greece and Italy, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So we have Italy, who both teams here are 2 of the strongest defenses in this whole tournament. So I think this one's going to be a pretty low-scoring affair, I think it's safe to say. So I think it comes down to who's going to be able to get that one goal, who's got that brilliant attacker.
And that matchup does end up coming down to Balotelli against Samaras, and that's not a contest. If Balotelli has the right frame of mind, he's not doing anything stupid and getting suspended or, out partying the night before, he's going to take control of this, and he's going to beat Samaras to that one goal that's going to decide this game.
So yeah, I think Italy will be able to move on there. Moving on, we have Switzerland and Argentina. Another one that I think maybe could surprise some people, but that's probably not likely to happen, especially with Argentina on the home continent here. Gonna have huge, huge support. Got some of the best players in the world. Switzerland just doesn't have that kind of world-class firepower, and I see Argentina taking this one without too much of a problem. Switzerland's defense maybe could be a bit of an issue for them, but I think they've just got too much. They'll be able to break them down, and they'll be able to put some in the net. So finally, the last matchup here in the round of 16, you've got Portugal and you've got Russia. Or no, we have Belgium. I'm sorry. Belgium and Portugal. This is a pretty interesting matchup here. You've got Ronaldo versus Hazard, two of the best wingers in the world. And beyond that, though, yes, Ronaldo probably beats Hazard out in that one. Belgium's got a little more depth, I think, and I think they'll be able to get it going there. I think they've got a way, way, way better defense than Portugal does. Portugal having really only Pepe, maybe William Carvalho is a good young talent, but he's never really played much internationally. I don't think he has more than 5 caps. And so, yeah, I think the Belgians can take this matchup here, and I think they'll advance.
For sure, yeah. All right, so now we're into the quarterfinal stages. Going back up to the top left portion of the bracket, you've got Brazil and Uruguay, which is a historic matchup.
Yes, the winner of this World Cup could very well come out of this matchup because they're going to have so much momentum after this win, and they're going to have a lot riding on their shoulders, going to have all the confidence in the world, and yeah, they're going to be on home soil. And between Brazil and Uruguay, a lot of talent there. Brazil's defense probably a little stronger.
Yes, definitely.
So there's that, and they've got probably a little more depth at some other positions. But then again, Brazil probably doesn't have the player who's the Suarez in this matchup, I think.
We have been talking about Suarez and Cavani carrying Uruguay this far, but then you have to think who's behind them that's going to help them pull through in this big match. Brazil, their star man is Neymar. Can he, mature and carry Brazil? Well, he might not need to because Brazil is so deep. They've got so many other good players behind him, like Fernandinho and Oscar in the midfield. They can help him out. But the question is, will Uruguay have anyone to step up and help out their star players?
Does Uruguay have the talent in midfield to stand up to the Fernandinhos and the Oscars and the Neymars? I don't know if they do, and I think that's what this is going to come down to. Maybe Brazil gets a little bit more support from their home fans, seeing as it is in Brazil. Yeah. And I think Brazil maybe comes out of that one,
Brazil in this one,
moves on to the semis. All right, so the next quarterfinal is
France against Germany.
France and Germany. Okay, that's an interesting matchup. Loads of European talent here. These teams are going to be good for ages, good for years to come. But in the here and now, I think Germany's got more talent in their prime, and I think they've got a better history of showing up in World Cups, and I think they'll be able to pull this one out. I think Germany gets onto the semis and becomes one of the last 4.
Yeah. All right. Next matchup, Netherlands versus Italy. And basically, this is kind of an offense-defense matchup. Italy with a much, much stronger defense. Netherlands known as the defense as being their weak link there. But then the Netherlands with a great attacking advantage over Italy, who sometimes does struggle to score goals.
They have guys like Robin van Persie, Manchester United star striker, who when he is healthy and he is firing, he's firing and he'll be scoring goals. Arjen Robben, when he wants to show up, is one of the very best wingers in the world. His deadly left foot, he'll curl him in from the top of the box. And I think this is an interesting matchup. It's a case of offense versus defense. And
one thing I'd say to look back to is in the Euros in 2012 when Italy played Germany in the semifinal, and everyone thought Germany was going to win this game. And Italy played their game plan to perfection. Defended well, went on the counterattack twice, scored 2 goals, won the game. So I think they very well could do that again. And they are a very good team, very experienced team. I think they can take the Netherlands.
I agree with you. I agree. The Netherlands are a deadly team for sure, and we have them beating Spain, and that's a very, very, very big accomplishment in itself. But I think I don't know if they'll be able to break down Italy's defense. The guys like Chiellini, Bonucci, Barzagli, and some good fullbacks. Buffon in goal, that's true. And they've got some guys like Pirlo and Marchisio and De Rossi who are going to be holding down the midfield. They're going to be the anchors there. And I just don't know if the Netherlands are going to be able to break that down. They've got some more veteran guys up front, and I just don't know if they'll be able to handle them. So it's kind of a case of defense versus offense, and I think defense is going to come out here. And so
we'll take Italy.
Italy in the semis.
All right, last quarterfinal matchup is Argentina versus Belgium. And here I think it's going to be, can Belgium ride that wave of, everyone thinking Belgium is the dark horse of this tournament and Belgium has the talent, but can they do it on a big stage? Argentina, they've proven that they are a world-class team and they've got the world-class players. Belgium kind of not as proven. Everyone knows they've got the talent, but can they take it onto this big stage and beat Argentina?
I'm inclined to think Argentina is going to be able to pull this one out, seeing as it's a matchup between a South American team and a European team, and that being the South American team with experience and the European team lacking in experience. I don't know if Belgium's young studs are going to be able to pull this one out. I love Belgium, and I'm excited to watch them play. Probably the most excited to watch that team play out of any team in the entire World Cup. But I just don't know if their lack of experience is going to come back to haunt them in this game here. And I'm inclined to think that it will. And I think the guys like Messi and Aguero are going to be able to take advantage of that and put some goals in the net. And I think
we'll take Argentina.
I think they'll be in the semis. All right, so last two matchups here before the final. We've got Brazil and Germany and Italy and Argentina. So 2 European teams, 2 South American teams. Big showing from the South American teams considering they don't send as many teams as the Europeans do. But yeah, you also think about it, and it's on South American soil, so it makes sense. So you start off with Brazil and Germany here. What's your take on that?
Brazil, not as experienced as Germany. Germany, they have the talent and experience that can take them here. Philipp Lahm is probably the best captain in this entire tournament and probably one of the better players in this tournament too. In the midfield, I think Germany is one of the only teams that can match Brazil's midfield in terms of defense, stopping the offensive attack of Brazil's midfield. I don't think this will be as high scoring. I think it's going to be kind of a struggle to gain possession and get power. It'll be a high-paced game, I think, mainly because Brazil is going to want to up that tempo. And Germany, I can see Germany kind of chasing this game almost because of Brazil's attacking flair. And they'll be motivated semifinal in Brazil in front of their home fans. I would take probably Germany to win this still, just because they've been there before and the talent levels are pretty equal in my eyes. But Germany has that experience that Brazil does not.
I have to agree with you there. I think the talent, I think Germany does edge it there. But the thing is Germany's got a bit of a reputation of failing on the big stage. And I don't know if they'll be able to break that here or not. On the club stage, I think they tend to succeed pretty well. Bayern won the treble last year. But I don't know if they'll be able to repeat that on the international level. I'm inclined to think that they can. I think they've had enough experience. They've got the right mix of youth and veteran leadership. And I think Germany will be in the final solely because of really their talent levels. I think that's what it'll come down to in this game. Yes, Brazil has a bit of a home advantage, maybe pushing their abilities up a little bit, but they're maybe a little bit young on the attack, especially. They're probably their 2 best attackers there, Neymar and Oscar, are both under 23 years old, and they're still learning the trade a little bit. They're a bit inexperienced on the international level, and I don't know if they'll be able to handle the pressure of carrying their country to the final of the World Cup. Granted, it is in Brazil, but I don't know if they'll be able to handle it. I just think Germany overpowers them, kind of.
I think this does have the potential to be kind of the case of the old man just beating down the young boy, because Brazil, they're going to come in pretty hot in the head. thinking, we've made it this far, we're carrying our country to the final, and they're going to be so pumped up. But Germany, they know what's up. I think they do have the potential to just totally beat Brazil down, grab a couple early goals, and just boss the game from the start.
I think Germany also kind of has the right game to. I mean, it's similar to Spain's, but with a little better defense and a little more potent attack. I think they've got that possession game, which I think Brazil is going to struggle to contend against. And when they lose the ball, immediate pressure, immediate chase, immediate counter against that ball loss there. And I don't know if Brazil is going to be able to handle the pressure Germany brings. I don't know if they'll be able to stay patient and wait for their opportunities and seize them when they happen. So I think Germany will tactically be able to have the advantage in this game and pull it out in the end. On the other semifinal,
Italy and Argentina. Yet again, it's been defense, offense all tournament, and this is no exception. Italy's outstanding defense against Argentina's great offense. Going back to Messi, Aguero, Tevez,
Di
and
Maria.
Di Maria against Barzagli, Chiellini, Buffon in goal.
Yeah. All those guys, I don't know. I just, this one I think is a little bit, it's another even talent level game. I think these teams have flaws, each of them do. I think Argentina's defense may be a little bit weak for semifinalists. It's a good team, very good team, great team, actually. You can make an argument they have the best player in the world, Messi. Don't know if I agree with that, but it's there. The argument is definitely there. He scores tons and tons of goals for that Barcelona team in Spain. And they've got Aguero, who is very possibly the best striker in England. Maybe not over Suarez, but he's right there. He's number 2 or number 3. He's a great player, fantastic, scores goals. But are they going to be able to score goals against Italy? I'm not sure. I think they can. And it's a question of whether Italy is going to be able to answer. If Balotelli has that great tournament, and he's like one of the leaders in goals at this tournament, which there's a strong possibility he could be, then maybe he can. Maybe he's able to answer for Italy. But I don't know. I think Argentina, with that little bit of a home advantage, I know we kind of ignored it maybe a little bit for Brazil, but I think
Argentina does have the experience that Brazil does.
that's also true.
And Argentina is also playing not as good of a team in Italy as Brazil played in Germany.
Right.
So
I think Argentina will be able to advance
I'll take
and make it to
Argentina.
the final here.
And that sets up a pretty interesting matchup because last time Argentina won the World Cup with Diego Maradona was against West Germany. So kind of a, little, and that was on South American soil, I do believe.
I'd be inclined to believe that too.
So-
South America tends to win the World Cups there. So, all right, Argentina, Germany. Well, I think Germany's a little more complete team, but Argentina, I don't think they have the striking firepower, the power to put the goals in the net the way that Argentina does. We haven't talked about guys like Mario Götze all the episode here, but it's a question of whether he and Marco Reus, the young guys for Germany, Andre Schürrle, if they can take control of a game like this and score goals with an Argentina team. I don't know if they can. I think they can. They're talented enough to. But it's a question of whether they're experienced enough to be able to handle the pressure of this massive game, which maybe they are, maybe they aren't.
I think in this game we're going to see Germany dominate the midfield because I think they have what it takes to beat Brazil's midfield, who is a much, much stronger midfield than Argentina's midfield. And, Argentina's midfield is probably their worst part of their entire game. And Germany has the likes of Schweinsteiger in there. You've got,
Toni Kroos.
You've got
Götze.
Götze and Royce. And, they can...
They have so much. There's guys who are going to not even make the trip to the World Cup who would be automatic starters on other very, very good teams.
That's true.
And I think it's just going to be too much for Argentina. Yeah, European teams tend to struggle in these World Cups on on South American soil. But I think this is the year where they break it and buck the trend. Same thing with Germany and themselves, in that they buck the trend of not being overly successful on the major stages. I think they're going to be able to pull it out this time, get rid of their demons, and I think they're going to win the 2014 World Cup. So much talent,
Yes.
in every position on the field.
I think this is Philip Laum's last go at it, and I think he takes home the trophy.
He's going to be a very accomplished guy, as are a lot of the German guys. And I don't know. I think a lot of them actually do have the experience on the big stage at club level, especially too. A lot of them play for Bayern and Borussia Dortmund, who played in the Champions League final last year, and that's kind of similar stage to this one. And I think that'll be the experience required to pull it out against Argentina, along with the deep depth in every position. So I think Germany takes it. Thanks, guys. See you later.